In the bustling trade city of Philippi, Lydia, a merchant from Thyatira, was known not just for her exquisite purple cloth, but also for her keen intellect and generous spirit. Her home was as vibrant as the dyes she sold, a center of commerce and conversation in the heart of the city. It was a bright morning when Lydia, as was her custom, joined a group of women at a riverside place of prayer outside the city gates. The tranquility of the setting contrasted sharply with her usually hectic days. On this particular Sabbath, the routine gathering was stirred by the arrival of Paul and Silas, who had traveled to Philippi after a vision called Paul to bring the gospel to Macedonia. As Lydia listened to Paul preach about Jesus Christ, something within her stirred. A recognition of truth, a whisper of divine revelation. The words seemed to fill a void she had not realized was there. Moved by the Holy Spirit, Lydia and her household chose to be baptized, embracing a new faith that promised redemption and a profound connection with the Creator. Following her conversion, Lydia urged Paul and Silas to stay at her home, insisting it become their base of operations in Philippi. Her home, once a place of commerce, transformed into a haven for healing, teaching, and fellowship. Lydia's influence and resources provided the early church with a critical foothold in Europe. Her home, a lighthouse to all seeking the way in a region overshadowed by Roman gods and imperial decrees. Lydia's commitment to her newfound faith was not without cost. Hosting prominent Christian evangelists brought scrutiny from local authorities and resentment from those who felt threatened by the radical teachings of Paul. Yet, Lydia remained undeterred. Her conviction as rich and deep as the purple cloth she crafted. Her home witnessed debates, miracles, and the burgeoning growth of a community deeply committed to the teachings of Christ. When Paul and Silas were imprisoned for casting out a spirit of divination from a slave girl, leading to economic loss for her owners, it was Lydia's home that remained a focal point for the believers in Philippi. The dramatic imprisonment and subsequent miraculous release of Paul and Silas, who were freed by an earthquake, only strengthened the resolve of the Philippian believers. Upon their release, Paul and Silas returned to Lydia's home, where they found the believers gathered, praying and waiting anxiously. Their reunion was joyous and marked by a strengthening of faith and purpose among the group. After Paul and Silas left Philippi to continue their missionary journeys, Lydia's role as a leader and benefactor in the church only grew. Her home remained open, her business thrived, and her influence echoed throughout the community. Lydia's story became one of enduring faith and boundless hospitality, setting a precedent for future believers and demonstrating the power of dedicated leadership in the early church. Her legacy was characterized by courage, generosity, and a deep love for her fellow believers. Through her actions, Lydia proved that faith could move mountains, transform lives, and establish communities bound not by trade or tradition, but by the love and grace of Christ.